we're now going to go over to the Nicola Congdon of the Creature Feature Show. Now, obviously, the weather has been taking a talking point for a lot of us this week, and the Met Office has obviously issued their first amber weather warning for extreme heat. We're managing to stay cool with the fans, extra showers, and lots of obviously drinking water. It's far more challenging to ensure our pets are cared for in the correct way. So, to discuss this further and advise us, Chaos's very own zoologist, Nicola Congdon, is joining us now. Once again, lovely to have you on the show, Nick. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing? Hello, Chip. How are you doing? I shouldn't be so excited to see the dog more than the guest. I really should say that. But it's lovely
I
to
love
see you
Chip's
both.
sunglasses.
Oh wow, I didn't see those. That's amazing.
Aww.
Hey, he's not so keen. Nicola, I've got a personal request here. I'm getting some very specific jokes in here, as you probably are very, very used to them by now. Can you just stomp your feet and make sure that he's not sending us anymore?
He's not actually here.
Oh, darn. Right, okay.
I don't actually know where he is, so...
Oh, okay. I think that the gig is up now. It's Stefan, obviously, who's sending us. I have got so many here that have just come through on Mixcloud. Don't forget, guys, if you want to join in on the dad joke parade, go to thisischaos.co.uk, click the watch button. Anyway, Nicola, sorry, I'll come back to you now. I do apologise. Just had to address the baboon in the room. I'm going to start off, obviously, thanks for joining us again. It's lovely to have you on the show. So, with the heat and everything, what have you been up to since we last had a chat?
So, quite a bit, really. We are literally everywhere possible. So, tomorrow, I've got my youngest ever age group to do animal interventions with.
Oh, wow, okay. What kind of age are we talking about?
2 to 4 year olds.
Oh!
Wow.
Blimey. Okay, so what kind of animals have you got coming with you for that?
So that's going to be pretty much what we take on most interactions. So it'd be the rabbit, guinea pigs, snakes, cockroaches, millipedes, maybe a spider. It depends on the weather. Obviously, they won't be able to handle the spider, but everything else they can handle.
That's amazing stuff. I mean, I can understand, obviously, why not the spider. Bit of danger for the animals more, really, isn't it? Because you don't know what they're going to do, fling a spider or whatnot. But can you tell us a little bit more? I'm personally interested. What kind of spider you got going with, or spiders?
So that's going to be a red knee tarantula. So it's currently about 3 inches leg span.
Ha! Yeah, no, as you very well know, arachnophobia here, sorry, should I say?
Not an arachnid.
I'm not an arachnid, I haven't got 8 legs. Yeah, no, thank you, but blimey, that's really quite cool. I mean, is that taking you into, like, a school, or are you I hear you're going into schools in general anyway now.
Yeah, so what it is it's the end of school for a local preschool. So they would normally go on an outing to a park, or Flambards, or anywhere, raise the roof. But because obviously COVID, they've had to go, actually we can't do an outing, so we're going to bring animals in instead.
Amazing.
That's really good. So if there's any like parents or schools or teachers or anyone out there in that kind of area who are watching and thinking, oh, that's quite interesting, what is exactly, give us a bit more about what you offer in case there's people who are interested.
So there's 2 options. We do the animal interventions, so that is just having the animals on site, just learning a little bit about them. And then we also do the educational side. So that is how to actually look after the animals correctly to stop any illnesses that could be prevented, any things. So for instance, they may not have the correct equipment. So it's making sure that the animals have the correct setup before they're actually purchased, and not just to purchase an animal and just, hope that that's what's going to survive.
Exactly. I mean, I think we see and hear more and more about that kind of thing happening these days, because I've never had an education about that kind of thing in school, and yet it's so normal for us to have pets. So I mean, there's that missing area, isn't there? And you're clearly filling that area very well. I don't know. I've never really heard of anything like that. So it's really lovely. How has it been taken up so far? What's the response been like?
It's been manic. Every time my phone rings, it's someone else. So I'm doing stuff at Cafe Chaos at 3 Milestone. I'm going to be going out with the Who Dares Works and Positive People in Helston, Penzance and Hale. I've got care homes coming up. I've got local centres, one-to-ones. I'm taking bookings for next year already.
Wow. It's absolutely brilliant. I've obviously it's been great watching you obviously go through your zoologist training all the way up to this and what you've been doing and everything, and it's fantastic to see how far it's gone. To see that you're already taking bookings for next year, that's astounding.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. So gonna go to the obvious thing right now. It's roasting hot. I'm lucky to be in the shade. Els has the sun, who's slowly creeping
alright.
over her, but safe at the moment. When it comes to animals, how have you been dealing with your... Because obviously you've got a lot of animals there. How have you been helping them deal with it?
It's really difficult. So for me, this temperature is ideal for certain animals because I don't need to have heat mats on that need to be kept 25 to 27 degrees.
Right.
Is that for reptiles?
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously with the spiders, the snakes, the gecko, the frogs, they don't need to have the heat mats on at this temperature. Whereas
Wow.
the fish, which are tropical and they need to have between 22 and 10 to 24 degrees, their temperature at the moment is 27 to 28 degrees.
Yeah,
Oh.
they need cooling somehow.
So
Oh,
it's
blimey.
impossible to just tip plain water into there.
Yeah.
So I'm having to wait until it starts cooling down and then up the heater and then slowly reduce that temperature back down.
So it's not too much of a shock, I can imagine.
Yeah, they'll go into shock and 90% of fish will die if that suddenly drops down from 29 degrees down to 22 degrees.
Wow.
So it's having to put extra measures in place. I've got 3 fans running and it's still nearly 30 degrees.
Jeez.
Flipping heck. It's incredible what needs to be like. I suppose you don't really think... I mean, I would never have thought about water being too warm for fish, especially in this country. It's little things like that people need to know to help keep their pets safe.
As my stepdad has had to learn a lot now about tropical fish keeping because he's been left a very large tropical fish tank.
Yeah.
And it's silly things like that you won't necessarily read all over the place, that you kind of need someone to tell you that's what you need to do.
It's absolutely astounding. And obviously, with all the work you're doing, Nick, have you seen any animals or signs of animals that are struggling with the heat now, specific species?
Yeah, so I'm going to cover today about rabbits, cats and dogs. Just because they seem to be like the most common pets.
Yeah.
So dogs, you see a lot of it on Facebook about what to do in this sort of temperature. You don't see a lot on cats, and there's also a lot of stuff around rabbits and guinea pigs that people just aren't aware of.
But I feel like that's almost like a trend with a lot of small mammals, is people don't seem to realise just how much care and support they need. People buy a hamster because it's cute and then get a cute cage for it, where in fact hamsters need a really large space to move around. It seems like people don't tend to think about the care of their small animals as much as they do their dog or their cat.
Yeah, so we
sorry,
should have an image to come up.
Let's have a look. Do we have... Oh, blimey, okay.
So this is basically showing how hot dogs need it to be. So obviously if you're 12 to 15 degrees, absolutely fine. There's not a chance of heat stroke up to about 20 degrees. After 20 degrees, which some places in the UK at the moment are 24 degrees. So we are in that very uncomfortable stage.
Yeah.
So you're likely to see some kind of heat stroke developing. So in severe cases, a dog's body temperature is around 28.5 degrees. If that increases by 2 degrees, that's when heat stroke will kick in.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible to think about. And obviously, to latch onto this, I want to take some information from the Kerner Weather Team yesterday. Obviously, we do a lot with the Kerner Weather Team. We do weather updates, and we've been doing a lot on the temperature. And they told us what temperature was going to be like. And it was during that part of the show that I found out, thanks to Matthew asking about it, that they take the temperature in the shade.
Yeah.
And in the sun, it's considerably warmer. So if you're being told it's like 24 degrees right now, if you take a dog out for a walk, for example, and you're in the sun, it's a lot warmer, and you are, there's that severe chance. So please, 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 please be careful, everyone. We've gone on about this a lot, but we can't go on about it enough at the same time. Be very, very careful. Obviously, a lot of people during lockdown as well became dog owners because it was an easy thing for them to do to help them get out and go walking and that kind of thing. But now we have the reverse effect of making sure they get looked after properly. If there's one thing in particular you would say to dog owners at the moment, what would you say it is to do to be safe?
I would say either not going out for walks. So, for instance, if the outside temperature is 25 degrees, the floor is likely to be double that temperature quite easily in the sun. So they say that's the 7-second rule. So if you can put your hand on the floor for 7 seconds and not move it at all, then
not be
it's fine to
uncomfortable.
go out for a walk.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we talked about that a little bit earlier as well, didn't we? And it's nice to know that a lot of people do know about this, but there's so many that don't. Keeping online with dogs, and I saw your little message to us earlier on Mixcloud, and I'm now very worried because I believe you have a quiz for us.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So what I would also say about the ground is people have artificial grass.
Oh, okay.
That is also a lot hotter than what it would be on tarmac. You're more likely to get burns off artificial grass than tarmac.
Wow, did
I
not
didn't
know
know
that. But I suppose, I mean, it's very plasticky, isn't it? So yeah, I can imagine that getting quite warm. I mean, we've got some wood flooring, but it's got like a shiny top to it.
Gosh, the little gap just by the door.
Oh,
the door's open. If you
roasting.
stand on it, it's fine for a second, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I put my
That's
foot
really
down.
hot.
I get burned straight away. And obviously, you've been around the house, you know when we mean it. Just absolutely roasting. So yeah, okay. I hate quizzes. Let's do it. Nick. What have you got for us?
I'm gonna win.
So I was going to say around the common breeds that would actually suffer in this weather. So you've got the brachycephalic breeds. So that is the flat-nosed dogs. So like pugs, bulldogs, King Charles Spaniels. The ones that have the narrow nostrils, they've got deformed windpipes, they've got excess soft tissue in the nose and throat. So even without the heat, they would struggle to breathe.
Yeah.
So these dogs are more likely to die of heat stroke in around 15 minutes.
15 minutes, blimey. And there are still some people that keep their dogs locked up in their cars. It's terrifying.
Not right. It drives me absolutely mental.
Even with the windows open, even slightly, or even quite a lot, it gets so hot in a car. I mean, we was talking to Nath the other day. We were all leaving, and he told me that his car was registering 34 degrees. I don't even think that was an internal temperature, like not a straight internal temperature. So, it's just simple information that people need to really get in their heads, isn't it?
Yeah. So coming up for the quiz. So basically, if you were to be out walking and someone's got a dog with them, or there's a couple of dogs and there's two different breeds of dogs, they're presenting different physical signs of overheating, what do you think these signs would actually be? So these are ones that anyone could see. So even if you saw a dog that's got loose, has escaped, it's lost, these are common signs that you would need to look for. It doesn't matter if you own a dog or not.
I would
excess and continual panting.
Yeah, I was going to say something like that, and maybe it's not got any energy to go. It's just lying down. It doesn't seem very interested in anything. It's just, it looks like almost like somebody's just fallen over in the street and they're struggling to breathe. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So what else would you notice?
Muscle twitching. Am I correct in thinking that dogs that are going through heat stroke, their like muscles sort of like? Do you know what I mean?
Seizures.
I wasn't going for full seizures. I was just thinking muscle twitch, but maybe it is seizure.
So it would more likely be leading to a seizure after it's collapsed, it's weak.
Wow,
obviously, there's three other things that you would look for.
Okay. Is this just visual, or are we able to go and actually like put our hands on the dog?
Just visually.
Visually, okay. Would this be something to do with the eyes of the dog by any chance?
Not quite. So these are the first signs that you would notice. Obviously, as it gets worse and the heat stroke gets worse, you're then going to have other signs as well.
Okay.
Difficulty breathing?
Yeah, so you'd have the rapid breathing and panting. So what would happen if you're breathing really fast? What increases to try and do something around your body?
Oh, the heart rate? The blood flow?
Yeah. Yeah, so you would notice that the heart is beating a lot quicker than normal.
Oh, okay, I'm with you, yeah. Would you see redness in places where there's not so much fur, like the ears, for example?
That tends to be just sunburn, so you would actually have to look in its mouth. So the actual way to tell if it's ill or if it's not ill would be the colour of the gums.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. And that'd be easy, obviously, if it's panting. And did you say there's one other thing?
So there's two others. One you'd notice if you're taking it for a walk, if it's doing something when you're out on a walk.
I can imagine it's just not
pulling
keeping
towards
up.
the shade,
just going to the floor almost.
Wanting
like
to be in the cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would do that, but you're also going to have drooling. So it's going to be dribbling and lip smacking. So that's trying to cool off, put water onto its nose to cool itself off.
Wow, okay, I'm with you. Okay. And one other thing now.
So the other thing is really, really vital is diarrhea and vomiting.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be quite obvious if it happens.
This also leads to dehydration. So now you've got less fluid in your body. You're then dehydrated. Then that's weakness, can collapse. And basically, if it doesn't have water quickly by IV, it's not going to survive.
Wow, well, you know what, this is great information. I didn't know about 90% of all of that. I mean, I've never had a dog. I would learn that kind of thing if I was going to have a dog, but a lot of people wouldn't know that. It's quite common for people to go out and get a dog. So to have these things now and have people listening and watching going, oh, it's good to know that, especially in this heat, that's absolutely fantastic. Is there any more questions for us? Are we free?
I'll let you off for a minute. So I'm just going to do things to consider in this heat. So ways to cool your pets down.
Yep.
So you can do this for dogs, but you can also do, some of this can be used for cats. So you can buy cool mats and jumpers now. You can either, walk them when it's a lot cooler, so early mornings or late evenings. You can do a wet towel on the neck, between the front legs and the back leg, but also putting water on the paws and the nose. And some people put frozen fruit into water and then freeze it to make ice cubes.
That sounds really good.
Actually, it can be dangerous.
Oh, okay.
You think about it, you don't want to cool a temperature too quickly, do you?
Yeah, true. I mean, there's actually, and I know it's not a pet, but it was I'm guessing it to be a similar situation. There was a bloke last couple of years who was so hot, he had a bottle of ice cold water with ice in it. He drunk it so fast that his body, even in the heat, went into hypothermia because the body had thought, oh my goodness, we're freezing.
Internal temperature.
So, yeah, I can completely understand that. If they drink it or eat it too much, it's going to be, I'm going to guess it's a similar sort of situation.
Yeah, so it's the canine anterior hypothalamus. So basically, that is triggered to warm up the body. So if it responds to something icy that's really cold and it has to absorb it, it's going to raise the temperature up even more to compensate for how cold it is.
Oh, wow, yeah, of course.
So it's okay in small amounts, but they tend to say if you give them room temperature, that will get to your body temperature quicker than something really cold. So they say, for instance, for people, if you're really hot, have a cup of tea or coffee.
Yeah.
That cooling down inside you will be quicker than an ice cream getting warmer.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. We just had that conversation very recently, didn't we?
Yeah,
about having a cup of tea instead of an ice cold drink. So, obviously, smaller pets, rabbits, guinea pigs, that kind of thing, can be a little bit more challenging to see the signs. What can you tell us about those?
So there is a picture that Nathan has got on the rabbit.
Let's have a look. Let's see if we got... there we go, as if by magic.
So what people don't realise is that rabbits in hutches get heat stroke a lot quicker than dogs.
Wow, okay.
Because the cages are small, they're made of wood, they're insulated, they only have a little bit of wire on the front. There's no circulation of air.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So
And
then
I love how you've got
it's-
the tips there to help them as well.
yeah, so it's building up the heat. So I know that some local places, rescues, have been measuring the temperatures within different hutches. They're getting to 40 odd degrees.
Flipping heck.
I'm presuming that the smaller the animal, the more difficult it is for them to maintain their body temperature. Is that right, or am I thinking of babies?
Yeah, sometimes. Obviously, with hutches in the garden, unless you're at home all the time, the sun moves around
Yeah.
as well. So at some point between 8 in the morning and 8 at night, that sun is going to be on a rabbit hutch. That's going to make it even hotter.
It's absolutely crazy. So, you've got all this lovely advice. What could you say now to people who maybe are watching but are struggling, well, no matter what their pet, they're struggling to do the right thing and they don't know who to contact or what to do? Who can they contact? What can they do just in general to at least get things started and keep them on the right track?
So if you suspect any heat stroke, the first thing to do is to phone the vet.
Right.
Because as soon as it's getting into that heat stroke, it just takes a few minutes and that dog could die or the cat could die. So it's having measures in place. So I've got currently 3 fans running just in one room, and that's to ensure that it's nice and cool for the animals.
Absolutely. And obviously for just general animal welfare as well, if there's any trouble, if you've got any suspicions, is it a good idea to go to the vet just straight away?
Yes, always phone the vets first, because they may say, okay, well, put a hot blanket, a cool damp blanket on them, just take them inside, give them as much water as possible, and just see if that increases. If it's so much bad, then obviously you need to take them to the vet. But also with rabbits, at this time of year, they've got wet bedding, the heat builds up in the beds, and they can get fly strike.
Right, okay,
So
I'm with you.
That is a major concern for rabbits.
What's the advice if you're worried about someone else's animal? Like, what exactly should you do? What is best to do?
It would either be to speak to the owner, or you're going to have to ring the RSPCA if it's a dog, cat, that side of things. If it's a bigger animal, you'll probably have to contact DEFRA. So if it's a farm animal, it would have to go to DEFRA before the RSPCA.
Right.
Brilliant
But
stuff.
to try and make sure that the owner's aware on all this. So with fly strike, you can't actually see it. So what it is it's a fly that's laying eggs on wet bedding. So if you've just got your rabbit in the hutch and your neighbour's got a rabbit hutch and you see lots of flies outside, I would suspect there's some sort of fly strike going to be happening there.
Right, okay.
What happens is the fly lays the egg. In 2 hours, those eggs hatch into maggots.
Oh
And you're talking of hundreds at a time because there's so many flies around. Those maggots eat through the skin of the rabbit.
Oh, that's a horrible thought. But lovely to know, how to identify. Thank you for that. I've never heard of that before. And I've known a lot of people with rabbits and dealt with rabbits myself. So, yeah.
It's just simple things that if you just notice a load of flies near a rabbit hutch.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I was talking about with you earlier. Obviously, having this kind of knowledge and you're taking it to schools, it's absolutely perfect. So people can think about this before they even get their first pets.
Yeah, so the other day I was asked to go and cut a rabbit's claws.
Okay.
So just presumed it was to cut a rabbit's claws because they can't afford to take it to the vet or the vet hasn't got time.
Yep.
So I volunteered to go and cut the rabbit's claws. Upon getting there, the rabbit has been sat in its bed. So the whole tail was wet. It was covered in poo and feces. It was in a state. So I spent literally 10 minutes cutting the fur away. So now that we've got this hot weather, that's one less rabbit that's likely to get fly strike.
Yeah.
But just removing a little bit of fur would make a difference. 90% of rabbits are euthanized with fly strike.
That's just that's horrible figures there. But it's nice to see that, it may be a small comparison to the rest of the world, but it's nice to see what you're doing is helping both animals and people, keeping people involved. You sort of got a well-rounded way of dealing with this. You're not sort of missing any gaps in the system. Obviously, you do a lot of work, Nick, with a lot of pets and a lot of people. A lot of people like to get involved as well. How can people get involved and help you?
So I'm on Facebook under the Creature Feature Show. I'm also on Instagram under the Creature Feature Show. Emails, phone, as many ways as possible. There's always someone who knows where I am.
that's kind of worrying, isn't it?
That's the problem.
You do a lot of stuff with pet poverty, don't you? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's providing food parcels to people who are struggling to feed their pets. So we've actually got a new addition that will be joining our boxes very soon.
Ooh.
Which I can actually show you.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to think, how can we, instead of providing loads and loads of pet stuff, how can we make it something that's different, but also so the person's not worried that I failed, I can't look after my pet, I'm not good enough to have this pet. So yeah. I've been asking around, and we will be putting these in with our boxes. Just as a little extra something, just as a rosette.
That's
it doesn't mean that they failed. They've actually done something and asked for help. So it's kind of presenting them with something that they've achieved to ask for help.
That's such a lovely little addition to think about. Basically, you're thinking about almost the mental health of the people that you're helping out with the pets, and that's so lovely. Nicola, it's always so lovely to talk to you about all of this. Obviously, you do the Creature Feature show, as you mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit more about what people can expect on that show?
Anything animals. If it's not animals, we don't talk about it. If Steph picks up something that's not animals, we change the subject. So we talk about campaigns, we talk about any donations we've had in, any requests we need, any advice that people's asked for, fun facts. We talk about zoos, what's happening in zoos, so any births, any deaths, any jobs even. So there's quite a few animal-related jobs in the UK at the moment in zoos. So we just basically try to extend ourselves around to what's happening in the world even.
Fantastic stuff. I was listening to your show yesterday, wasn't I? On the way to the beach, which was quite nice. And of course, the one that does the joke, shall we say, was on doing these on form as always, shall we say?
Yes, I've got him a job. He's going to go in the next satellite and survey the Antarctic emperor penguins. There you go.
Lovely.
That's what he's planning on doing.
He'll be away for a while
trouble.
Then. Yes.
Oh, Nicola, it's always lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll catch you again real soon, I hope. We'll see you probably next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, Nicola. Don't forget, guys, you can catch the Creature Feature Show here on Chaos Radio every Tuesday from 6 p.m, as well as online on Facebook and at their website, thecreaturefeatureshow.co.uk. You can also watch the previous Creature Feature Show episodes on our YouTube channel. Just search for Chaos TV. I've got another question for you.
Oh no.
Why do you say that?
Because it's going to be an awful dad joke.
It's not. In fact, you're fine. I won't ask you a question. I'll just tell you something. Did you know that it is so hot right now at Argyle Dam that trees are whistling for dogs?
I'm out.
Shall we have some music?